ZeBirdBrain, and today we're talking about cutout animation. So when you animate in cutout, one of the tools that you're going to use the most is the transform tool. By the way, the shortcut for the transform tool is Shift T, but you can change it to anything you want. The transform tool, allows you to move your different layers. Know that you should always move the pegs, not the drawings themselves, but this is like cutout 101. So it should be a reflex that if you click on a shape and it's pink, you don't move it. You only move it when it's yellow, because yellow means it's the peg. But when I animate in cutout, unless I have to do lip sync or something that needs drawing substitution, I will almost always use my peg selection mode, because by having this active, then I bypass the drawing automatically. So it prevents you from making little mistakes, such as moving your drawing layer. Why don't we move our drawing layer? This is because my peg's pivot would be here, but if I move my drawing away, then the drawing art will move away, but the pivot of the peg will stay there, so it's a big no-no. But then on top of pegs in cutout, we also animate a lot of deformers. So that's what my video will be about today. We're gonna learn how to kind of move pegs and deformer together. So Harmony 21 came with lots of cool features. And one of them is the possibility to move multiple deformer points together. So of course, if I click on my eye and I show up the deformer points, you can shift click them to move them together. And you can always use this box here to move them together. But this is since Harmony 16, so there's nothing new with this. Selecting your dots one by one takes time, and then the manipulator sometimes is not enough to do some manipulations. So to move multiple points together, instead of shift clicking them, you can go here, click on control selection mode, and you can then lasso multiple points together. And not only can you lasso them on one layer, you can also bring your deformers out of another layer, and then lasso all of these points together and move them at the same time, which is very useful. Now, if you're using Harmony 21, you have access to yet another tool that is called the mixed manipulation mode. If you click this, it will allow you to not only move your deformer points, but also move your pegs at the same time. So I'm going to shift click on my crown here, but the only reason why I feel comfortable to do that is because I have my peg selection mode on. If not, I could move the drawing layer, and I don't want to do that. So always make sure you have your peg selection mode when you do that, and then it will allow you to move the peg and the deformers at the same time to create some really cool effects like this. Or maybe I want to move the eyes as well. You can do that and move them like this. So very interesting effect, if you ask me. You can also scale it, you can rotate it, and make it do crazy things like that. And it's all going to individually key each of your elements. So it's a very cool feature that makes your cutout animation much easier. Of course, you can also just use it for deformers to move all the points around. So instead of having to use the manipulation mode here, which also works, you can just use the directly like the same interface you would use to move a peg or whatever. You can move the pivot point here to move it. It's just, I think, more convenient than using the old manipulator tool. The manipulator tool is still there for people who are used to it and for some little cases, but usually I default to using the mixed manipulation mode because it's just so quick and easy. Last but not least, what you can also do with the mixed manipulation mode is that if you click on a deformer point, it's going to give you like a bounding box to your handles, so you can kind of move them like this, and they're always going to move together. This is very cool for envelope, because if you don't use the mixed manipulation mode, usually envelope had this little negative point that you could never have the offset handle together compared to the others that are always moved together. The offset was always kind of the oddball that would never be linked together, but by having the mixed manipulation mode, it allows you to move these points together. Alright, so that's it for today. I hope you had a good time, and I'll see you again next week. Bye bye!